You are talking about you taking your senior year a lot more seriously, being a leader on the field, and all that. But is there a specific game that you will never forget
A specific game I will never
or
forget.
us play?
Um, okay, so probably like two really games I would never forget. One would be um, a game that we played against Grace Brethren. I'm pretty
Oh
sure you remember
yeah,
them. So these guys were like huge. These were all like D1 athletes that were going on to playing for UNLV, UCLA, USC, big colleges, big universities like that. So that was just a random game we got put into because they offered and coach wanted us to get some
yeah.
experience
That
in
was
it.
the first year as well. So
And coach really wanted us to be like I felt like that like he wanted us to really get the grasp of what football at a high level really meant,
mhm.
you know. And when we got put into that game, Jesus Christ, when I mean I was getting teared up, bro, like I was getting hit left and right. They would just rush us. We couldn't do anything. But at the end of the day, I kind of got the message like, hey, this is what football's like at a higher level. These guys take football seriously. It's like on a personal level. You know, I respected it no matter what. Um, I got a. I feel like I got a concussion that game because I got tossed hard one time. But that game I will definitely never forget. And the last game I wouldn't forget either is our first playoff game in history, which would be against Fremont. We lost that one unfortunately, but it was more like a wow, we made it a playoffs kind of game.
Yeah,
Like it was a feeling that geez, we're actually in the playoffs for the first time at Mendes history on our third year. Which is something not a lot of schools could probably say. Making it a playoffs on the third year. Um, so I really did enjoy that, especially because I was like, damn, bro, like we're really here. We made it. We had to fight for that position though because I think at the time the CIF didn't want us to they didn't add us into the playoff bracket even though we did better than some of the teams that were in that specific bracket that we
hmm
beat. Like we kind of blew them out. Um, so it was kind of weird. So when we saw that happening, we were like, we can't let this slide. We can't let this like just go under the rug. We fought for the position. We were like, hey, we deserve to be in that playoff bracket compared to some of these teams
hmm
because we beat them. Like and we have a better record than them. How are they in it but we're not in it? You know. So eventually we parents called. They were supporting us. They were calling us the CIF office and all that
Oh
stuff.
wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
eventually, because of all that support, they said, "Hey, they're kind of right." They took a team out, they put us in, and from there on, that's when we got our first playoff game. And then it was a fun game to remember, definitely. Especially knowing that that was my last game. I had to go hard. I was proud, regardless if I won or lost. I was just happy that we made it to the playoffs and set a different boundary for the team as teams.
Nice man. You're
So
saying that that's when you guys set the bar for the rest
yeah.
for the other teams, right? So now, kind of transitioning to you meant talking about your last game. How is it that you got started playing college ball? What
Uh,
was that process like?
so eventually, I went to community because I know that's the only place where I can actually play college ball
Mm-hmm.
and have the opportunity to play. So eventually went to tryouts, did what we could do, made the team, which I'm happy to say I made it. Um, Started practicing, but it was a very very not complex schedule, but very time consuming. Like we'd already had a set schedule, like go in the morning, early in the morning to do our classes. Do what we have to do, regular college life student, or college life of a student. Um, and then after that, we'd have to go to practice, and we'd start off first by looking at film for about an hour. From there, we go into the weight room for about an hour, and from there, we head out and go and practice, get suited up, and start practice.
Yeah, so it's very
Um,
time consuming.
it really was, especially if, for example, if you needed massages on your knees or whatever that was messed up, an ice bath. You go to the trainers right after practice, and they basically help you out. Whatever it was that you needed. So if you were consistently doing that, which I was because I had messed up, my knee around that time. Um, I'd probably leave school around like maybe like 8:30, 9ish at night, and at the time I didn't have a car or anything, so it was very hectic because my community was pretty far from where our
Mm-hmm.
area is at, so I'd have to take the bus. and that bus ride would probably be like an hour and a half kind of thing.
Oh, well, so you didn't get home till like 10, 11 p.m.
Nah, so that's how it was. Yeah, pretty much. It was just very time consuming. I had to get home tired, eat, sleep, repeat the whole thing. But eventually, I want to work. I want to get money. So I did have a job at the time, but the only time I could really work was Sundays. But Saturdays we had to go through film and do all this other stuff, do a little small little practicing. So eventually, all my days were pretty busy with football. That the only day I had to work was Sunday, which would be normally my rest day since I didn't have football around that time. So I'd pretty much kind of be in a lose-lose situation where I'm not really getting rest at all.
And you're also not getting money.
Yeah.
And you're not putting your whole effort in school as well.
Right? Yeah. I'm not putting my effort into school like that. But, I was just doing it just so I could, get through it. And just, it was kind of just like a set schedule that I had. But eventually I kind of grew out that phase and I kind of ended up doing a decision that really, it was kind of hard to make. And, I eventually said, hey, I don't think this is for me anymore. Like, I wasn't having that same passion and drive as I did in high school,
right.
for football. So I was like, well, I don't think this is really for me anymore. Like, this is very time consuming. My whole high school, I was always a student athlete, never really just a student. So I didn't have the privilege or the ability to be like, hey, I'm going to just go to school, go home, go out, go to work, have fun kind of thing. So eventually I decided, hey, I think I'm going to drop football. A tough decision to do, but I felt like it was better for me in general. Right. So dropped football and just started working, going to school, and I feel like it was the right decision because I actually started having more fun, going out with friends, and just enjoying myself more.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. So when was the decision for you to no longer continue going to school?
So my decision for it's a funny story too. My decision to not going to school anymore was just simply I had messed up in the sense where I didn't apply for classes ahead of time. Okay. So I was one of those students where I applied really late into before the semester started. So you take what you can get around that time, especially if like there's no more classes available for the mornings or
that makes sense.
Stuff like that. So eventually I kind of had to stick with one in the like 8 a.m. and then my next class will be like at 10 a.m. and then my next class will be like at 1, and so it'd be divided into a very big like hour or like a gap time. So in that case I was I was kind of getting really frustrated, which although that was my fault for not really applying earlier, I was just stuck in the sense where I was like, damn, now I gotta wait 2 hours for this class, 2 hours for the other class. What do I do in that time frame? Especially like I'm just in I'm laying down, and I wasn't talking to a lot of people at the time to be like, hey, let's go hang out over here and here kind of thing. I only had 2 friends I was there with, and we just couldn't just go eat, and then we just literally sit down for like 2 hours doing nothing. Damn. So eventually, I kind of got, one day I was going to school, this was a Friday as well, I was going to my sociology class, and I was about to enter the door, and I kid you not, I just said, I'm gonna go home. Like, I'm done with school kind of thing. Yeah. It was just such a sudden decision. And I feel like it was an impulsive thought too, where I was just like, it don't matter. I'll just go work kind of thing. So I was about to open the door, said, nah, screw that. I'm done with school. I walked out, got on the bus, headed home, knocked out, took the biggest nap of my life.
So much weight off your shoulders.
So much weight off my shoulders, bro. Like, although, don't do that. Like, do not do that. Don't follow that, or don't follow whatever I did, like, at all. Because, unless you really just feel like you're done with school, do it the right way. Set, have a plan at least for after, which I didn't. I just had a plan of working, and that was all I was doing. So, that's what happened. A lot of weight off my shoulder. Now, having to break it to my parents, I didn't break it in the sense where I just said I dropped college. It was more like, I'm taking a break. I'm taking a semester break. And they're like, all right, cool. But then they realized that semester turned into 2 semesters and 3 semesters, and I never went back. So
I feel like that's a story for a lot of people that I know. That the way to say it is, I'm just taking 1 semester off, but then they never come back, right?